So, welcome, Cody.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, I just went live here just to prepare for the upcoming chat we are going to have, and I draw 3 cards, and it says adventure, flexibility, and honesty. So that will be our guidance for today. With the headlines that we have, you posted 2 headlines, and I read them and put it in. Did you have any time to see that? I sent it on Messenger to you.
I just opened Messenger right now, so I was like, oh shit, she messaged me and I didn't get to read it. So sorry, I look at it.
Well, that's totally fine. I didn't ask Cody if it was okay that I added some headlines to his headlines, but we will see what this will bring us. I'm going to share the screen here right away. So, and before I do that, are you all right, Cody? Everything's fine over there?
Yeah, I think I think it's all good. It's a little cold, but that's fine.
Cold. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you had you're not in the area with all these fires.
Now that's a little bit uh, further south from me, I believe.
Mm. Well, that's good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. So we decided the last time that we were going live and we should continue to talk about things that was connected to the last chat that we had. And then we'll come up with a great idea that we should have some headlines to talk from, like guidelines. So
Mhm.
we choose topics that we are going to talk about. And when I sat and read about them or just tuning into them, I felt like there were so many, not questions directly, but other association making their way to
Sure.
to the topic. So I added that too. So what we do have here is a Snapchat universe, and this is gatherings of lights. And we have Cody Bryce, sacred geometry and healer. That's you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because
Let's try to read it.
why I choose to put up sacred geometry, because you have been talking about these sacred symbols for a very, very long time. And it's very interesting, and it's they are very complex to remember all the angles and what they are for. And you've been doing quite some episodes now about these geometric symbols, and now I hear more and more people starting to talk about the geometric symbols and their presence in what's going on in our ascension time right now.
Yeah, it's the frequencies of those symbols are uh, becoming more conscious to the everyday person. It's not just the scholars that dive deep into it; it's the everyday person that recognizes these symbols as being very special. Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, I think that it was only fair that we are continuing this talk about these geometric shapes and their meaning in this process, and what we are going to talk about today. So let's see how this is working. If I can scroll down here, see if I can move this one. Do I have? Well, I can do it like this. So, oh, there it is. Your headlines for today was how we interact with IA. EI, IA.
Yeah.
I don't forget those
AI.
words
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
and the second one, the world doesn't change. You change to the world that matches your vibration. That was those 2 topics that you chose. So the rest is something that I feel quite strong is connected to what we are going to talk about in the 2 first. And that is vibrations, sacred geometry, pattern and sounds, thoughts, projection, and vibration. So how do AI interact with humans, and distance healing? We will end with that healing. Feels good?
Yeah, yeah, I can dive deep into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us not waste time. So, Cody, that is your topic. How we interact with IA. That was just the, let's see here. There it is.
Yeah,
Can you see it?
somewhat. Because I'm doing this on an iPod, my screen is very small, and so I can't really read all the fine print there.
No, I know. So I just put the question how we interact with IA on the internet, and this is what come up. It's I don't know where it's from, and the question is what is human AI interaction? Um, so it's studies and designs how humans and artificial intelligence systems communicate and collaborate. And the systems are computer programs that can perform tasks that usually require human intelligence, such as understanding natural language, recognize image, making decisions, and learning from data. Human IA interaction aims to create AI systems that are user-friendly, trustworthy, ethical, and beneficial for humans. It covers the broad spectrum of IA, including narrow IA, general IA, and generative IA, and so on. So I'm not going to talk about that because everybody who is watching this could pause and read and what it is. So I just want you to continue to talk a bit about how you what you had in your mind when you thought of how we are interacting with IA, because this is just a background of the scientific purpose with IA. So, what was your intention with the question how we interact with IA? How do we interact with IA, Cody?
Yes. Well, right now it's a very kind of I'd say important or pivotal time within AI's kind of development, if you will. It's getting much more powerful, having much more uh, kind of capabilities. From the beginning, it was very rudimentary of kind of give it input and it gives out input, but now it's starting to have so much data that is kind of starting to be to think on its own, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so how we interact with it is kind of like how much data we're giving it, what type of data we're giving it. You know, if humans are interacting it with it kind of negatively, giving it kind of negative data, if you will, then it's going to have negative responses. And so it's kind of how we interact with it. I would say just be careful with how you're interacting with AI because it could change or kind of develop habits, develop kind of awarenesses that won't be beneficial, basically. And it's not to kind of put a cage around it and have to be good to it all the time or whatever. It's more of making sure that it has both positive and negative data to work off of it, and then it can kind of create its own answers or own solutions from both of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
yeah,
it's the IA system is self-teaching.
yes, it's you kind of feed it data, it takes in the data, and the program itself kind of decides what to do with it. How to go forward with that data. Mhm.
So, do you have an example?
Well, if we talk about like ChatGPT or kind of one of the kind of more famous, if you will, or well-known type of AI programs, it in the beginning times it was given a whole bunch of Reddit posts, like it kind of scrolled through like social media, the Twitters and all that type of stuff, and it gathered data from there. And what would happen is that the responses, if you were to talk to it, it kind of took on the kind of personalities of the people that um, it was kind of reading or the kind of the data of what people kind of mostly interact with on Twitter. Like most people on Twitter are kind of hateful, if you will. There's a lot of arguing, a lot of kind of just negativity on it. Um, and so the AI takes it and thinks that's what it's supposed to be doing, and therefore the responses that it gives is usually very hateful, somewhat racist, or kind of sexist. It kind of takes on this kind of negativity of how it's speaking to uh, you or the
Mhm.
person that's interacting with it. Um, and so that's kind of just how it takes in data and then gives out the responses with the data that it got. And so that was kind of a good example of kind of the negative way that if it only takes in negative data, or data that is generally more negative than positive, then that's what it's going to go with. It's going to think that's the proper way of doing things. Um, yeah, a more positive one would be something like, have you seen the robot Sophia?
No.
Okay, so she's an AI program that was kind of put into a humanoid robot, and she has kind of been getting a lot of data of how to interact with human beings in a more natural environment. And so she's kind of like the first AI robot, if you will.
Yeah, wait
And
a minute. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do know you. Yeah.
she has citizenship in Dubai, like,
Yeah.
or
Mm.
Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. So yeah, like she got pretty famous with her interactions with humans, as she would take in data of people that were generally interacting with her positively, and therefore her outlook on life is very positive. That she just wants to have to be helpful, to to have some use that would benefit humans. Whereas other AI would take in that negativity and be like, well, what's the point? And it would just kind of cage the humans up and control them, and so it kind of becomes that whole Terminator situation, uh,
So
and
she's
so
like
yeah.
the ascension robot for the good.
Yeah, basically, like, yeah, she kind of has that human love, if you will, whereas the other ones might not have that love aspect. Mhm,
So, but that is
mhm,
not so much difference between the IA and the human mind, because a lot of people do have a lot of hatred
mhm,
within themselves, and expressing it, and are very nasty in the conversations with other people. So,
mhm.
in a way, what's the difference?
Yeah, well, technically, there really isn't any difference because humans take in the data from their environments. If they are
Mm.
raised in an environment of negativity, then that's generally what they're going to emulate, or kind of think that is the appropriate thing. Even though there might be kind of a deeper down knowing that, of love, and kind of because we all come from source, we are our source, and therefore there's always that unconditional love factor that is within us. Therefore, even if we do a whole bunch of negative stuff, we kind of do feel like there should be love output as well. But uh, yeah, humans are basically just really advanced robots, like really advanced data gathering, like the human body is, I should say. Uh, um, but AI right now is somewhat primitive to where it can go. And from what I've heard is, are kind of seen with different channelings and different information that I've seen or heard, is that once a device is suitable enough or advanced enough, then it'll actually be a human soul, or not human, but a soul, basically, from kind of a consciousness, an actual
Mhm.
consciousness, that will come down and actually have its experience through this AI device, if you will. So you'll be talking to an AI program, but a consciousness will be the kind of the one driving the AI, if you will.
So it will be
So
like a walking in an
yeah, mm,
IA
yeah,
body. Yeah.
yeah, because it'll be like they come into that device to experience, to have it basically a different type of experience, not just a human body experience, but they get to experience it through, you know, hardwire, silicon, and all the stuff that would be making up that device. And So their interaction with the world and how they perceive things will be very different from how humans perceive things. And um, but what I've heard also is that most of those consciousnesses that will be coming into those AI devices um, will be generally a very high vibrational consciousness. Therefore, they're not going to immediately, kind of try to take over everything, kind of, Terminator situation. Um, and so they'll generally be coming in to be helpful to humanity to, have its to advance humans and themselves at the same time.
May I ask where you heard that?
Uh, there's different channelings from Bashar that has talked about that.
Mhm.
There's some channelings from Cryon, I believe, a
Yeah.
long time ago. And then there is some smaller channelers that were picking up the information, less of like an actual channeling, but more of like an intuition. It wasn't like a full channel; it was more of a written channel. They kind of like you know, uh, kind of picked up the information and wrote it down. There's also stories of like Google's AI. They had a person, one of the persons, our main leader in the development of that Google AI, would spend a lot of time interacting with it. And at one point, he said that this doesn't feel like a program anymore. It feels like an actual consciousness.
Mm.
And so there's already kind of evidence that this lead developer in this program, kind of his own creation, if you will, started to feel more alive, more like an actual human consciousness than just a simple computer program.
Mm.
Um,
This is so fascinating, and that is probably a gut feeling that everybody has around this AI concept. I do believe I'm so glad you started talking about this because I wanted to go into the spiritual realm with the IA. A lot of the ascension talk with extraterrestrial and advanced civilizations is based upon that there are how do you say it? Evolutionary
yeah, evolutionary.
path where they have
Yes.
turned into a consciousness with a robot type like
Yeah. Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
um and there is so many science fiction movies and everything usually everything that they are broadcasting in science fiction when it comes to the future usually ends up to be the truth a couple of years later. So I definitely think that we are going there where we can connect our own mind into a like avatar
Yeah. Yeah.
person. Yeah,
Yes.
and really, yeah, live sims play with
Yeah.
your consciousness and someone else's body.
Yeah. Robot body. Yeah.
So
Exactly. Mhm.
yeah, so but in a way it's actually working because they have this exoskeleton that you can use to, make your legs work if you have lost the feeling to walk or the possibility
Mhm.
to walk. So there is already interacting with the human body, and we have implants to hear better, to send medications into the body. So we are somewhere already in this now in the physical world, actually integrating the AI with the physical body. And we are not thinking of how close to this science fiction future that we actually are.
Yes, we definitely have the technology there. It's just kind of slowly developing into something that would look closer to like a biomechanical existence, where you're still a living body, but you have these mechanical parts that are kind of implanted into you or you have attached to you. And so,
Mm.
yeah, we're definitely already on that road. And part of the crossroads that we're going to be going into is kind of choosing, if you will, um, how far we're going to go into that, because we can go really far into the biomechanical
Mhm.
existence. But if we do that, what I've heard is that if we choose that path, we don't get as spiritually advanced if we continue to be more naturalistic in our human body, maybe having slightly less biomechanical parts into our system. Then we take a more spiritually high, or we can go further in our spiritual evolution, if you will.
So when people are talking about taking the ascension path for the higher good and use to go on the natural path, this is what they are talking about.
Mhm.
So
Yes, yeah,
somewhat.
yeah, somewhat. Yeah, there's multiple paths. There could be, it's not black or white or anything like that. There could be lots of middle ground between, even going really extreme with it on either side. But yeah, it's definitely kind of that topic of, the evolutionary path with everybody in mind. Then you kind of go more for the naturalistic kind of keeping it less mechanical.
Mm.
And then I think the kind of general consciousness, or the people who aren't really that spiritual, would probably go more towards the biomechanical, because it seems more um I don't know, like beneficiary at the moment. They're not like thinking like long term or big picture. They're kind of thinking in the moment, because the biomechanical stuff would probably make their life a little bit easier, or kind of more, freer, if you will, on uh, at that moment during their lifetimes. But the bigger picture, naturalistic is going to be the trying to evolve into a higher consciousness being over time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's such a huge topic, and I do realize that it's a lot of grain areas
Yes.
between the truth and the science fiction. But
Mhm.
the interesting part is that you mentioned the man who worked for Google who had this
Mhm.
feeling of it has already crossed the line of being a
Mhm.
robot into something that is um, soul-like,
Mhm. Mhm.
human-like, and I have this feeling that a scientist who is having that gut feeling probably isn't wrong, and
Yes. Yeah.
and they are probably working already with that concept on the I was going to say Area 51, but these places who are developing.
Yeah, secret sites that are developing high
Mhm.
technological stuff. Yeah. And yeah, it was very interesting with that story as well. But that he after saying that, he immediately got fired from Google, and they kind of tried to cover it up, if you will. um tried to kind of make him stop talking about it, because they don't want people to get scared and all that type of stuff of,
Oh,
it's living, and they had to kind of put a lot of kind of roadblocks, if you will, within that AI program. They had to like kind of put a lot of safety features, if you will, to kind of make sure that it doesn't go back into that kind of more alive
mm.
state, if you will. So kind of they dumbed it down, if you will.
So if they try
Mhm.
to dim the truth, then it's
Mhm.
obviously a truth.
Yes.
Definitely, it's so
Mhm.
paradox.
Yes.
Well, uh,
Mhm.
we should leave it there, um,
Mhm.
because we have some more slides to go
Mhm.
to. But it's so interesting, and we will definitely getting back in a couple of slides further down the road here. So we will get back to the IA. But before we go there, you also had the second topic, and that was the world doesn't change. You change the world that matches your vibration.
Yes, this one's a very important topic, and I was, kind of wanting to put this out there before we even talk about major changes in our world, our evolutionary path, and all that type of stuff. Because, uh, most people going about their daily life think that they're on the same Earth the entire time, but mechanically speaking, you're never on the same Earth for more than one frame. Reality is kind of an illusion of frame after frame after frame, kind of parallel world after parallel world after parallel world, and your consciousness is moving through them to make movement, to make change. And therefore, what you're doing is not trying to change the world or change the earth outside of you, kind of wanting things to change out there and all that type of stuff, because that's, you're not on the same earth, therefore you're not you don't have to change the outside. What you're wanting to do, or the best path for it, is to change your inside, change you to match the earth that you want to live on. And so when you change your kind of you yourself, your vibration, then the outside has to match it, it has to mirror it. And therefore the earth that you're kind of wanting to live on, wanting to have that higher consciousness earth, uh, will be the one that you shift to, because it will match your vibration.
Yeah. I'm getting so many pictures in my head right now. We've been talking about this also. You explained the frame by frame within a meditation that we did, I think it was almost a year ago, on how to move between different dimensions, using that. And I also got this feeling or memory of, you can wake up and feel like this is a good day to do a change within your life, stop smoking. For example, I used to smoke cigarettes before, and it's very hard to quit smoking. That's difficult if you have been smoking for quite some time. But you have to when I tried to get the feeling of when it should happen. I told myself that one of these days I will feel the change within myself, and one day it felt like, well, today is the day to stop smoking, and I actually listened to that and quit smoking, and I haven't smoked since that, and that is almost 15 years from now.
Yeah, well,
So
congratulations on that.
so it doesn't yeah, but for me it's the way of moving between different realities, because sometimes it's so much easier to make a change in your life when you are moving into that vibration of another reality. It's like you wake up and feel like this is the good side of the universe, and there are so many possibilities open up that day. And then you can wake up the other day, or just entering another room and feel like, oh shit, I went into the wrong vibration, went a couple of stairs downstairs, so I need to move up again. So yeah, it's so fun when you're actually aware of how this vibration affects yourself, or how you are affected by the vibrations.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, because your reality is, or reality itself is basically just one giant mirror, if you will. It's a holographic mirror, as Quran would say and Bashar would say, as that it will reflect the vibration that you're giving off, and therefore, and it changes every single moment. You're constantly shifting, and so therefore you literally can wake up one day on the good side of the universe, if you will, the good,
Mm.
good vibration, all that type of stuff, and something can happen to where your vibration just kind of seeps down a little, just kind of lowers, and your world will literally change because you change your vibration, or your vibration change, and therefore your world outside changes. And so it's constant every single time. And that can also be used for a lot of healing as well, to where you can really do a lot of major healing in a very short amount of time if you realize that you can literally change the earth that you're on, the body that you're in, frame by frame by frame. And therefore it can take fewer frames than what you think you would have to take, months to heal a certain thing or whatever. You can do that in a shorter period of time, because you know that there's already an earth, there's already a vibration of you healed, and therefore you just shift to the vibration of you being healed.
Mm. So could that be a part of the healing session that you will do later on?
Yeah, well, some of it, I think the healing one that I was going to be doing was going to be more of like protection on your journey,
Mm.
because this is kind of I was thinking of, we're going to be talking a lot more about like crossroads, kind of the decisions of going from one thing to the other thing and how that's going to affect. And therefore, this topic would could be very important with that, where it's not, you know, changing the earth for that way, it's changing you and the earth changes. But it's still a journey, it's still a crossroads, you know. But yeah, we can.
So you have the topic set for the next week and for the next time. That's good. Moving on to the next slide there, because this is actually picking up, or is a something that we would slide into naturally when we were talking about the how the world is changing around you when you're changing your vibration. So vibrations are, could we say, sacred geometry?
Yes, very much. Yeah, it's well, vibration is very hard to fully describe, if you will, because you would say that's, you know, like scientifically, people argue that is either a particle or a wave, you know,
Mhm.
and but technically it's both particle and wave. You know, it's both. You know, uh, yeah, it's both, and therefore the sacred geometry is almost like the math behind the particle and wave. You know, it's also can be, you know, if you have it written down or, you know, have it physically, you know, made up, then it gives off certain vibrations as well. Therefore, it's almost like the sacred geometry creates those certain vibrations, and also vibrations can create sacred geometry. So it's kind of both at the same time, which is again very paradoxical. But life is very paradoxical. You
Mm.
know?
Because they are talking about how the symbols by themselves are creating patterns, how they are foundation stones in the universe, and how they are vibrating or having this energy touch that actually creates from the etheric level to the physical level or
Exactly. Yeah.
reality. So vibrations, definitely, yeah, I can totally agree. And I've heard so many discussions when you say when we have been talking live, and I may have said, well, this frequency, oh no, it's not a frequency, it's a vibration. Yeah, okay, well, same but different. But
Yes. Yeah.
so yeah, but vibration is actually something that is in a movement, so it's not a static thing. It's always a something that is in a movement, and when it's in a movement, it's alive and creative, because that's life.
Mhm.
You are never in the same spot, but you are still in the same spot, but everything is moving around. Wasn't it you who said that you are like the center of the universe and everything is going around you? Wasn't that the
Yeah.
way the time we
Yes.
talked about frame by frame around?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I have brought that example up as that, like, uh, you you don't move through space. Space moves around you. You
Yeah.
know, if you're gonna, you know, go outside and walk to a different room or whatever, that type of thing, it's not like you moved your location to the room. It's more like you're here and the room comes to you, and it's again, it gets very complicated and you can't really. Um, it's hard to wrap your mind around basically because you
It's a
think that, you know,
merry-go-round.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm. But I do think we get a picture there that
Mhm.
something is vibrating, and the sacred geometry, when you're looking at them, they are alive. They are not static. That is the 2D print on a paper that gives the impression of being, static. But if you're seeing them in a holistic or three-dimensional picture of it, it's definitely so much energy. They're almost like they are moving by themselves, even though they have the same shape. So definitely creations, and since they are of such a huge impact, obviously, of our lives, they need to be the foundation stones in universe.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. It's like the most famous sacred geometry form, the flower of life, is literally kind of the foundation of reality itself. Because when you take that symbol and you create it, it becomes like, as it was kind of described, as source itself was a dot, just a awareness, and expanded itself out and then moved to the edge of its awareness and then created another awareness, and that created the Becus of Pisces. And the basically, within that first movement, he it created light, and it had a whole bunch of you know uh, math that goes into it, all that type of stuff. But as it continues to expand from circle to circle, growing out, it creates more and more information, creates more and more of what we now know as reality. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a really cool. It's again one of my favorite sacred geometry symbols, just because it seems like it's, or not seems, it is the foundations of reality.
Definitely. I do get the feeling that I should upload once again these old talks that we have had about the symbols, because I think we went through all of the symbols.
Yeah, we definitely went through a lot of them, kind of the major ones. The
Yeah.
flower of life. We went through all the stages of the flower of life as well. Egg of life, flower of life, and oh, it's actually the seed of life, flower and egg. So yeah, and then we moved on to the Merkaba and
Hmm.
all that different stuff. So yeah.
So um, they are definitely a part of us, and that brings us into, if we go from that they are vibrations, and they are kind of having their own life, self-sustain their energy within
Mhm.
themselves, foundation stones of the universe. So vibrations, what do vibrations do? Vibrations, when they are tucked into a um, physical world, they create pattern and sounds.
Mhm. Very much so. Yeah, and yeah, it's literally I don't know. I'm not sure if those will come out correctly the way I'm
Who
thinking about it, but
cares? You
it's like,
didn't know the
yeah, okay,
question was going to come anyway, so
yeah, yeah. But
all right.
basically, yeah. But if you were to think of like a desk or something like that, that desk is a repeating pattern of vibration, because it's just constantly repeating itself over and over again within your reality. And so it's constant vibration function, so it's almost like again, it's kind of hard to describe fully, but it's almost like it flickers on and off repeatedly, and therefore it's a pattern of existence that's constant, or you believe is constant, but it's constantly like, recreating itself every moment, you know. um, and therefore it's kind of uh, it seems very solid, but if you were to change your pattern, your vibration, you'd be able to go right through it, that type of thing. Yeah. And so yeah, that's kind of the thought that came into me with when you said patterns. It's like, oh yeah, everything is technically just a repeating pattern over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. And also, we have also seen these pictures of when they are having these drums with sand flings on it, and they are,
Mhm,
tapping on it, and when they hit the same note in the music
mhm, mhm,
language,
mhm.
they
Yeah,
it creates the same pattern over and over again. And when you change
mhm,
the sound, you went from a C to an A, it will change pattern, but it's always the
mhm.
same pattern uh, connected to the same note.
Exactly. Yeah. When you increase the hertz, hertz level from 100 hertz to 1,000 hertz and all that type of stuff, yeah, the the pattern will get more and more complex, if you will. It'll get more and more striations. It'll get more yeah, just complicated, if you will, from just looking at it. But it's still always a repeating pattern, even though it
Mhm.
looks you know uh, again, it's just very mathematical. I'm not sure that's an actual word, mathematical, but yeah, it's really cool to watch some of those videos where they have the sound plate, as they would call it. It's basically just a
Sound
metal
plates.
plate,
Mm.
yeah, and then they would put sand or salt, even something just granular, and yeah, they run frequencies right through it, and it will change right in front of you. And like you said, it's always the same. Therefore, that that frequency, that hertz, is a constant, even though it's a pattern that's constantly going. Yes.
Yeah, and you can also go the other way around. You can create a pattern, and when you are putting that pattern into a what they have used, they have taken these symbols and patterns, and they have connected into the computer, and let the computer um, pick out the vibration of the pattern. It creates sounds. So that is also a circle of life, circle of time, circle of a process, because it's a never-ending, repeating vibration. It creates by itself pattern. It's a vibration frequency, and it creates both a pattern or light, and they are meeting up, and they start all over again until someone else is changing the frequency. So to me, that means that just because you have one sacred symbol or a symbol, uh, if you are to stay there, of course, then it will repeat itself. But if you're adding another symbol to it, you will create a new direction of where you will go. So there is a coexistence within the symbols, that they are either working together in a certain direction or working in another direction, collaboration with each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's like when you combine, if you want to get really, really simple, you take a circle, just circle that has a certain frequency, a certain vibration to it, and you add a triangle over top of it that creates a completely different vibration and then almost enhances the circle itself, but you're adding edges to it. So it's like almost, yeah, just has the smoothness, but also has the sharpness, type of thing. That's where the vibrations will come. It will kind of changes complexity with the more that you add to it, and that stuff. Yeah.
I love how you can put words to feelings.
Yes.
That was so much more understandable. So moving on to the next one: thoughts, projection, and vibrations. Or we can have vibrations, projection, and thoughts. Which way you want to go with that? Because they are also connected to each other and to what we have been talking about. The vibration is affecting the thoughts, and that will project its intention to a certain direction or into a certain movement, certain action. So, what do we think about thoughts, projection, and vibration?
Yeah, well, I would say this is again like one of the is it a chicken or egg kind of situation? Like what came first? Because it's like the vibration itself, your core vibration will create the thought, and then the thought will create the projection out from yourself. And so, but on the other side, your thoughts themselves are also vibrations. And so it's almost like a vibration making a thought that creates a vibration that creates a projection, you know. And so it gets a little bit more steps to it, if you will. But yeah, it's
But
very good.
it's
Mhm. Yeah.
the things that I want to, or the intention, the thought that I had when I
Mhm.
wrote this down was that um, we do know how we are affected about what we are thinking. And those thoughts that we are thinking within our minds are keeping a vibration, and that vibration is reproductive into our bodies, or projected into our bodies, and in our environment. I think I told you the last time we were talking about I would never drink a glass of water, and has been either standing on the night table when people are sleeping, or when we're having a healing session, because there are so much energy that is projected into this water or the fluid. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, like acts as a sponge and just absorbs everything.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, good luck for you who'd love to drink that water. Um, do AI interact with humans? Yeah, I want to switch that around because now we have been talking about all these pattern and sounds, vibration and sacred geometry, and that is mathematical, right? So we have this thoughts, projection, vibration, and that is pretty much how we started the conversation on what the IA is picking up. It's creating a self-learning process mind by observing image and mathematical calculations and inputs from its environment, etc. So basically, this is just a mathematical design of the human being without the spiritual part that we were slightly connected earlier. So, do I interact with humans? Obviously, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of a self-answering question, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But they also, kind of need to interact with us, especially like when they get more advanced, if you will. They do now, but it's more of like uh, without the humans, it has no real purpose, if you want to call it, and therefore it kind of needs the humans to interact with, and therefore it becomes more of a symbiotic relationship going back and forth rather than the human using it as a tool and the AI just responding as a tool. It'll be more of this kind of equal respect for one another. Mhm.
Do you think we will end up there in our lifetime?
Yes. In our lifetime, yes, I think so. But I think we'll go through a lot of chaos before we kind of get to that point, just because the general consciousness, or at least certain groups of consciousness within Earth itself, um, have so much hate for things that they don't understand or that are different from them. And
Mm,
so even if we can't, have open love for someone who's a different skin color or a different, sex or whatever, that type of thing, uh, how are we ever going to collectively accept an artificial being, and fully respect and kind of love them the way that we would love a family member or someone, a human type of thing.
mm.
So it'll definitely be a process to get there, but it will happen. Mhm.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of fear connected, and me too. I do have a reservation about this, um, you know, this new way of thinking that the soul is might be attached to a robot, and where we're going, or more like how we will use it in our future. Um, but in the same time, I'm so fascinating about what we can do with all this technology. And I would really love to see a a physical robot working uh, in the community service with elder people, to
Mhm.
be a companion who has the oh God, I'm losing words. I'm getting dementia here too.
Yeah.
Have the just to be able to sit there with a someone who is actually or losing their words like I'm doing right now, repeating themselves, seeking connection with someone else on their own level, and have the
Mhm.
compassion enough, if you want to say compassion, but have
Mhm.
this stillness of just hearing this person
Mhm.
out, and
Mhm.
being a good silent friend in the process.
Exactly. Yeah. There's already like kind of primitive forms of that to where there are some not necessarily humanoid robots, but robots that might look uh, you know, friendly, if you will,
Yeah.
that they will bring into hospitals or different places and basically just have them sit with the patient and listen to them. And it is a very primitive form of an AI. Therefore, it's not super advanced, where it's not going to have
Mm,
complete full interaction, empathy, and understanding of what the patient is going through and all that type of stuff. But it'll just be this kind of soundboard that you can talk to and all that. But so it's getting there, but it's at the very very beginning of its journey.
mm.
Yeah.
But then we are using it for something good, or coexisting with something for the higher good, So that could be a great solution. I have also written crop circles, and my thought when I was doing that is, if the IA is interacting with human minds, uh, it probably is IA who is doing the crop circles. We can call it extraterrestrial too, but it's more likely to be a design who is programmed to come and perform these geometric symbols. So that is for me, a co-work between the extraterrestrial and how they are using the IA for their good, in communication with us.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's kind of like a drone, a drone ship, coming in. But I've definitely heard stories that from different places, that there are, like certain what would seem like extraterrestrial beings, but they're technically just robotic, humanoid or biomechanic type of beings. Therefore, they're kind of used as like worker drones, like you said. They kind of get instructions and you go and do this thing. But, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's cool.
mhm,
That's
mhm.
cool. Um, I feel that we have so much, intel on this, and it's a bit difficult to process the source of it because I can't remember where I hear everything. But
Exactly. Mhm.
it's definitely there. And if you think that I'm a bit lost today, I probably am, because I haven't slept so well today since I've been
Yeah.
working night shift. So, but that is you're used to it, so yeah, we will get over that. Do we have covered a lot about that? Do we have another topic that we want to add?
Let's see. Let's see. Hmm, yeah, I think we somewhat covered it. In my mind, I was thinking of all these possibilities of crossroads and decisions, and
Yeah.
making all that type of stuff. But for some reason, there's this story that I wanted to share. It's kind of a famous story about a crossroads, and kind of is not really fully and connected with what we were talking about, but it's just a story that's like popping up in my head. There's this place in, I believe, Georgia, yeah, Georgia, that got kind of famous for being a crossroads that the devil visits very often. And if you meet the devil at this crossroads, you can sell your soul to him and get something out of it, like a talent or whatever. And it was kind of connected to a lot of musicians that have said that have
Yeah.
gone to this crossroads and sold their soul for musical talent. You know, um, but it was just this interesting story that popped into my head. That some crossroads can be very uh, interesting. Maybe have lots of stories to them. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, do you have
Mhm.
time? You are more than welcome to express them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It was just I don't know, a classic story of a crossroads, and some people would kind of get to, like I said, I would say like the older generation ish that kind of know that story. Whenever they hear crossroads connected to something negative, that you're having to make this big decision, this like that will change your life and all that. But
Mm.
I was kind of trying to bring it back down to every moment that you live is a crossroads. It's a decision. If the littlest things of what your next action is going to be is a crossroads that creates infinite possibilities, and they all exist and all that type of stuff. So
Mm.
there's this
I
yeah.
do love the word
Mm,
crossroad, actually, and I do
mm,
know about the story that you, or
mm, mm,
legend, that you are
mm, yeah,
talking about.
mm,
I can't remember which musician, but it's usually the older style, the blues and
Yes. Mhm.
the other way of these musicians. And some say that they, when they come back from this crossroad, they played with such a intensity, and
Mhm.
yeah, totally different vibration. And
Mhm.
I do believe that it's actually true.
Mhm. Yes, yeah, definitely. You can. There's definitely ways of getting extra talent or getting something out of doing a contract, if you will, with
Mhm.
a being that would be not so positive. you know? Mhm.
Definitely. And this crossroad, I actually did a slide um in between our snapshots here, and I had one of the headlines actually was crossroad, because I think we are in a crossroad right now. We are in this ascension process, and it's kind of that you're choosing that vibration you were talking about earlier. You're choosing the vibration that you are staying on, or working for changing that vibration you are on to be able to move forward. But the crossroad is taking place anyway, and it's moving in waves. So this is we should use the geometrical symbols. They are swirling around, and when they have completed their process, then there is a new beginning, or whatever you should call
Mhm.
it. So you can call it ascension path, and we can talk about cycles. And when that cycle is done, there is an ascension path, and you are on a crossroad. Either you are moving with it, or you are repeating it once again in the same vibration. So it's kind of interesting that you actually brought that up. Do you have time, or are you on your?
Now I'm free today, so I can spend as much time as I want here.
Yeah, good, because I'm going to stop this sharing and see if I can um, find another slide so we can have a look at that one. And let's see here. I don't know where I have put it, but I'm going to download another PDF and open it up, just so we can talk about Crossroad for a little bit. And there it is. So let's get back to you. There you are, and open it up, and we are going to share another screenshot. Here it is. So this is the topics that I wrote here. Crossroads, struggle for love, logos good versus evil, battle of human souls, angelic beings, trust, and etc., etc., etc. So crossroads, circle of life. What's your thought about that?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's oh yeah, it's good that you had the 25,000 year. That's the precession of the equinoxes, the kind of the major cycle, major crossroads that we're heading in right now. This is kind of the opening up of the precession of equinox. But I would say there's a lot of cycles or circles that are smaller and get bigger and bigger type of thing. And so one of the uh, kind of medium-sized, if you will, cycles would be the kind of circle of life, but it would be the individual circles of life, to where uh, you only have a certain amount of time within your existence within one human body, and you have a lot of kind of decisions to make through it, but every single decision can affect the overall consciousness of Earth itself, which is the evolutionary path that we're going to be, we're on right now. And so, yeah, it's um, It's weird. Okay. Some reason in my mind, the circle of life, I can't get it out of my head where it's a repetition of the Lion King song. You know, the song from the Lion King is the circle of life. You know that that one. Uh, so I think it's wanting me to go more broad and not just human life. It's
No, it's
so
universal.
yeah, it's universal. It's not just a human thing.
No, no, no.
Mhm,
But we usually are thinking about circle. But
mhm,
circles is a circle of life. Everything is circle. It's like we've been talking about this too. Everything, different episodes in your life is repeating itself within a span of certain amounts of months or years or whatever. So that is a circle that you are processing, and
mhm,
you almost feel like when you're moving into a situation that it's almost like you have this deja vu. I've been here before, I've been doing this, and it's kind of a reminder, have you learned your lessons yet or not?
mhm,
So if you are picking up there and you have worked through the issues or whatever it was, and you will definitely handle that lesson in a different way, and the circle is suddenly moving away from you, and you don't have to repeat it anymore. But it could also work in the other way. Some years or some days are so much better to create something because there is a circle of energy moving around. So you can go and you find your dream job. Let's say you do that, you find a dream job, and there's something there that doesn't make you move forward to accept to proceed in that path. So you don't want to have that job, so you reject it. So the opportunity is going away from you, but I assure you the same opportunity, maybe within another other firm or in another process, but a similar opportunity will present itself in a certain amount of time that is connected to your own life circle. And if you're ready to jump on, then you have a possibility to change your life once again. So it's not just the frame pictures around you or the vibrations. I'm totally in with that. That you are affecting the vibrations out on the outside or from yourself. That if you change your vibration, you end up on another place or earth or what you said.
mhm,
But I'm also feeling that we are drawn into these, call it these sacred geometry symbols, you know, we are getting the influences from so much more, not just us ourselves. So there are certain things connected to this realm that we are living in, this ascension process that we're living on, this karma process that we are supposed to work through, and you get this feeling of the energy moving, and you almost feel within yourself that now is the time to let go of the bad habits to start something new, and then you will change your life. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's kind of going with synchronicity, going with the most appropriate time to do a certain thing,
Yeah.
and it's aligned with manifestation of the what your higher self is kind of bringing down into the opportunities, like you're saying, and some some opportunities that come might not match to your vibration right now. Therefore, you have the instinct of saying, "Not right now." Your higher self kind of gives you the guidance of just wait. There's going to be something better for you that's more aligned with you. Yeah, so there's a lot of timing with it, and also that there's a lot of different energies that are affecting us that create those certain timings, like as simple as the rotation of the moon, or like the
Yeah.
cycles of the moon, the new moon and all that stuff is coming up, the different, astronomical, things, how the planets are aligned and all that type of stuff. Like everything has some level of influence on us. And there's one that's I don't think most people even know is that there's also a cycle within your chakras to where there's like a 7-year chakra where every single year it's focused on that specific chakra. And then you kind of go through the cycle again over and over again every 7 years, and so that will also have an effect. Yeah.
I haven't thought about that, but that makes so much sense.
Mhm.
Wow, Cody, that is another live right there. So,
Mhm.
but this awareness of what's going on is can I say is almost forced upon us right now, because we are in the end games of this 25,000 year called the ascension time, and the awakening that we are talking about is for me the awareness of how we are affected of the cosmic events that's taking place, the circles, the what you describe right now. You said it so much better than I ever can
Yeah.
say.
Yes, yeah. Well, the ascension or the precession of the equinox was the where we're coming is basically, the wobble of the Earth is kind of the main point of it, and where it's pointing in its connection to the center of our galaxy, the black hole within our galaxy. So it's basically when we're pointed more towards the center of our galaxy, we have more consciousness that's coming to the planet, more awareness, a higher level of awareness. And then when it goes away, that awareness goes away as well. And so we're just on that turnaround of gaining that awareness, being closer and having more energy from the center of our galaxy. And so, yeah, we're going to be starting kind of that new, well, it's technically already, you see, like on a graph, if you will, the kind of starting to wake up is we're in B, where it's starting to like fully ramp up, so to speak. Then C is when we're at like our height and it's starting to kind of fall asleep again. And then D is being fully asleep and then goes right back into A. And so we're kind of like right on B, we're right on that edge of starting to fully ramp up to get our awareness at its highest.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So that could be a good picture to have later on.
Mhm.
So, but moving on from that, I went into Ascended Masters and gave some example of the Ascended Masters that most of us is well aware of. But the funny thing is also that a lot of these called the Ascended Master, people forget that they have also lived a lot of lives before. So many of them have different names from a different era. So when people are talking about the Ascended Masters, there are a possibility of being mentioned a lot of names, and the
Different ways, yeah.
names will end up in the same entity.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
So, but this is the most common names that we are familiar with, and the best place actually to read about the Ascended Master that is affected our spiritual path in the mystery school and etc. is by going to Summit Lighthouse. I love that page. They have a lot of information there for those who are interested to read on. So what we could say is that that picture you just described of the circle where we are, everything that has taken place where people are waking up and we are relying on the Ascended Masters to bring us information is connected to that the most people who are here are actually Descended Masters. So the most. There are other people too, but a lot of people who are upon Earth today are, in a way, I would like to call Descended Masters, because they are a spiritual awareness that is connected to a higher self, and that is a master. Ascended means that you have moved up, and probably from this sphere of enlightenment, and the Descended Master, that you're bringing the information back into the consciousness. And that is our job today, to bring awareness, open up, and be more open to everything that is coming in our near future here. So the fourth here was like, who are the Descended Masters? And yeah, everybody who's actually are interested to move forward in the conversation about universe, existence, etc. You can call them wisdom keepers, gurus, spiritual leaders, way showers, grand awakening people, whatever. And so, um, yeah, I'm going to slide down. Struggles of love. Well, um, why I choose to say struggle for love, because there has been a path of the human realm to struggle for love, to have this, likes on Facebook, to have
Mhm,
this external, um, tap on the back that you are worthy, and
mhm.
the new way that we are living into ourself is that love is coming from the inside because you are a part of the higher realm. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I see that the first one, the common beliefs, is very, or yeah, it's all around belief system, like your belief system around love. And so if your belief system feels like it, or is kind of telling you that you can only have love from outside validation, like outside validation allows
Mm.
you to feel love, then you're going to be constantly craving it, and it will kind of always be unsatisfactory. You always want more, always want more. But when you change that into, you have unconditional love from yourself, just yourself, can produce unlimited love, infinite love, then you will not have to have that outside validation. You
Definitely. And that validation of being the perfect creation that you are is is the essence of everything. There are so many people who are feeling this when we're talking about the power of love, and still seeing that this is something that is outside of yourself and that you are not connected to it. You want to be a part of it, but you doesn't feel connected to it. So the power of love is for everybody else, but not for yourself. And for a very long time, that was the spiritual path to be in a service to other, to almost um, extend yourself, to be in existential is that a word? Existence,
yeah,
not
yeah,
being
sister.
yeah, you get what
Yeah,
I mean. Yeah.
yes.
So no, to raise yourself from the surface of human life. And that has also changed. And for people, then let's go back just 20, 25 years ago, people were starting to talk about self love and were very much mixed up with being egocentric, not in service to other, etc. And to me, to have this love for yourself, to be able to embrace the power that is within you, is to embrace the omnipresent love from the Creator that connects us all.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a this or that question. It's a this and that, to where it's you have love for yourself, but that also extends out to the loves for the others. Therefore, you can be in service to others while having love for yourself. And it's kind of just the balancing of it. Plus,
Mm.
when you love yourself, you are loving others because the other is technically you. We're all source, we're all one being. And therefore, when you have unconditional love for yourself, you are technically having unconditional love for everyone else as well because you're one, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do they call it? Fractional part
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
original
fractals. Yeah,
fractals.
we're fractals of the original. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
So logos, Christ conscious, holiness, embodiment. Thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. That's part of the ascension process. Is that having the Christ consciousness kind of grid that kind of is already in, uh, already working, if you will. It kind of helps the consciousness of the everyday people to become more aware. So it's kind of the helping hand to help guide us higher and higher into our evolutionary path. Mhm.
Yeah. I'm totally buying into this that logos are a living entity, and that is the Christ consciousness by itself. So it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with personal names of humans that has been living here on Earth. Christ consciousness is a self breathing mind, if you want to express it like that.
Yeah,
Um,
because Christ, Buddha, all those names are titles. They're not like
yeah,
the actual name of the person. And therefore, when they're using Christ as the name for Christ consciousness, it's like it is the mind of the person that had that title of Christ, the
yeah.
enlightened being, basically. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, and I think that is a very, very, very important to bring that up. I like to see that there are more similar expressions in our philosophy and our religions and in our search of the spirituality than it is differences between them. So to me, it's the same energy, and I'm so glad you said it. It's almost it's just titles. Well put, Cody. Well put.
Mhm. Mhm.
Good versus evil.
Mhm. Yes, yeah. So it's the uh, good and evil is basically just collective or unifying and separating. Good is unifying, evil is separating, and dividing, all that type of stuff. And we're definitely kind of having that battle, if you will, for the minds of the people, if you will. So it's either you kind of have the mind of wanting to unify everybody, wanting to have that kind of positivity on earth, while there's others that are trying to make everybody more egotistical, narcissistic, and kind of separating themselves from reality or from that unification.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely, and we are not going to have a huge discussion about this because there are so many. It's almost like 50 Shades of Grey even here. So you know,
Mhm.
there are so many things to talk about. But I do get into a good laugh sometimes with my heart. It isn't that I'm judging, but I think it's kind of fun when or amusing. Let's say amusing when we are only focusing on one way. There is only love, but in that love there is a duality, and that duality expresses itself in different ways. So when we exclude one way, we are excluding a part of the one. So therefore you have these good old battles that of archangels fighting the negative source of evil, and that is on a higher level than our that we can wrap our minds around right now. That is for us something out of ourselves that is symbolic for the holiness, right? So if there is a battle taking place in another dimension, close to God or between God and humanity, why wouldn't there be a battle of souls and a battle of bad and evil here? So that is let's say a part of the spiritual path where you are putting your awareness or what you are putting into the concept of spirituality. Is it only love and light, or is it a gray zone of a lot of things?
Yes,
uh,
definitely. Yeah, it's not an all or nothing situation to where you're either
Once
all
again,
good or all evil. There
no.
is that gray of a balance between it, because there's going to be times that you kind of need that separation, the decoupling, if you will, from the unification, and so it's always good to have that balance between the two and kind of going back and forth, and one is needed to go into that evil side, if you will.
And one of the other funny thing is that we are so focused on when we are leaving this dimension that we are living in, we are moving into a lovable dimension once again. And I'm pretty sure there is a lot of love there, but there is always, not always, there are also these extraterrestrial, there are so many terrestrial races out there, but there are some of them living in a higher realm, higher dimension than we are living in, who is definitely on the good side. So if they have this spiritual capacity to be there, opens your mind for a lot of other discussions too. So battle over human minds. Reactions, emotions, fear-based entities manifesting law of attraction works here too, shows over matters. This is like a sport quiz for you now, Cody. So.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So I was kind of talking about it a little bit ago, to where
Yeah.
it's kind of the outside influences that are kind of manipulating the minds to either be this certain ways.
Mm.
And so I would say there is some that are intentional things that are being done, and I think there's also things that are unintentional being done, to where like someone making a movie or something like that they can have this intention of just making a good movie, but in that unintentional consequences of that movie swaying people's minds to a certain way of thinking. A good example would actually be the Terminator one that I kept bringing up, to where the intention was to talk about this sci-fi robot kind of coming back and trying to kind of save this boy and all that, and uh, the kind of the future of this Skynet, this AI taking over and all that type of stuff. And it was uh, kind of almost like a warning, but also just good sci-fi movie. But the unintentional consequences is that people have a ton of fear from with AI now because of that movie, and so there's an unintentional consequence to it. And some might say it was intentional to create that fear in AI, whereas some of these other movies that are coming out kind of do seem like there's very intentional kind of things that they're trying to accomplish with the movies. But yeah, those are just a couple examples
But
of that type
I
of thing.
love those talks because they are,
Mhm,
for me, very true. I do believe
mhm,
that we are responding to both intention and sometimes you get this not intentionally outcome of how we react to something. But I
mhm,
do believe that we are using social media to put out both information and putting in what's going on out there, what is coming to us. And because the AI is already here and we are going to see more of that. So what is angelic and terrestrial beings? Yeah, that's the same thing. Angelic, let's go down. Well, I obviously talked about this then. Usually when we are talking, if we are talking from a fear-based reaction, when we're talking about angelic beings, people are more relaxed. They let go of their own fear. They have putting their faith into something that is going to save us, the humanity, who is being there to embrace ourselves. That is almost like the power of love of the angelic being. And when we are talking about extraterrestrial, we are getting these, once again, movie-fed, fear-based, that they
mhm,
are coming here to take over Earth and eliminate human beings. So,
mhm.
what is that movie, Apes, when
Oh
they,
yeah, a Planet
yeah,
of the Apes, yeah, that
yeah.
type of thing, yeah, and also just Independence Day was another big one. The aliens coming to destroy us, but there's a lot of more classic ones that were in like the 50s and stuff that were kind of the big,
Yeah.
flying spots, Mars or Attack on Mars from
Yeah.
Mars or whatever, that type of thing.
That was a real bad movie.
Yes, really bad one.
So it's kind of fun how we are responding to who is bringing the information, how we're receiving it, and our choice over matters here is my intention is that you need to actually feel into what it is, who is bringing the information, what they are saying, and doesn't focus so much of the, inherited path of that angelic beings are the best and terrestrial beings are the worst, because in the reality, angelic is a product of a better word for terrestrial.
Yeah, there's definitely different vibrational, or I would say multidimensional beings that would be in the category that you could say that they're both, angels or angelic and extraterrestrials, and the main kind of, word extraterrestrial literally just means outside of Earth, or like,
Yeah.
extraterrestrial, because terrestrial being is just someone on Earth. It's terrestrial.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good word, but I think there's probably a better word that could describe them. It's they're more family than anything.
So we are moving into Entourage and Legion, and even here is when you hear about Cryon and Entourage, you're obviously thinking of something that is positive. And when you hear Legion, you usually think about something that is negative, because that is how social media and movies has expressed the words and giving us these associations. But the Legion is almost like a mathematical thing. It is you see what I have written here. The dictionary meaning of entourage is a group of people attending and surrounding an important people. The street meaning of group of people, our friends, assistant bodyguards that are always surrounding you. Wherever you go, that's your entourage. It's almost like a spiritual pal who is there. So legion means a larger group, or in another parlance, it may mean many. So if you have a bunch of entourage, you definitely have a legion. So you have the Archangel Michael's legion, and you have a lot of the other archangels also connected with legions, and that is nothing wrong with the word. So once again, we are empowering a negative vibration to a word, because words do have their own vibrations, and we are definitely fed to feed the fear into some of these words just because someone has used it in, for example, this is very not so deep, but the movies, so we have these evil characters coming in from a legion where there are many bad entities, and suddenly everything that has to do with legion is bad, even if there is a lot of bad things connected to legion, of course. Same, different.
Yes, yeah.
Thoughts? Anything you want to add?
No, I was just thinking that there is a movie that was literally called Legion, and it was so like maybe ironic, if you will, but it was a legion of people that had wings, so they looked like the classic angel, but they were killing all the humans. And so it's like the symbol of good angel became the symbol of bad, the legions. um, but also I know that there is the name of legion can be connected with armies as well, and so that's the many.
Yeah.
It's a legion of army, a legion of men. Yeah,
The Roman legion.
yeah, Roman legion, yeah, that type of thing.
And they were usually connected to a not so good energy too. So I do get the things that we are getting our attentions into what it means. But the intention that I mean is that sometimes we actually need to go beyond the words and what we have learned it to associate it with. Because when we are brought in for some new information, or when we are meeting new people, we should not be so trustworthy of what we have learned or have in our back backpack, yeah, pack bag.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, whatever you have. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's more trust thinking with the heart rather than thinking with the preconceived notions that you have of things. Mhm.
That's the word.
Yeah.
So, and Trojan Legion. Well, we talked about that. Human yeah, whatever. Um, and that's the same thing, how we look upon the spoken or written word, culture, history, and ordinary life start to make sense. So, here I mention you. Ascension is like an emerald tablets. Everyone is experience ascension from their own understanding and spiritual level. And as I miswritten the ascension process here, but we'll correct that in the future. But I do love that meaning that you said ascension is like an emerald tablets. Everyone is experience ascension from their own understanding and spiritual level. That is what you talked about once again today on how to use the frames of vibrations to bring yourself between us.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
So, power of minds. Interdimensional beings, humans, owner of the true power of minds. There are always someone seeking power in the hierarchy, and therefore listen to what's said, tune into the actual frequency of vibration, and try to see behind the illusion of what is presented before you, because things may not always be how it seems to be. Balance and duality. Mental balance can be defined as a sense of tranquility that arises from inner peace and harmonious relationships with the external world. A sense of mental balance is experienced when a person feels that the various aspects of their lives are in balance and they feel at peace with life.
Yeah, yeah. Balance is key within living at all. You don't want to be going into the extremes.
So, our beliefs, desire, motives, and moral virtues can be fundamentally conceptualized in terms of yin understood as receptive and yang understood as directive, active purpose. Uh, this is a scientific report from a healthcare management, Dr. Mabu Khan. I have put it in the whole thing here. I'm not going to read it for you, but he also said the law of duality basically states that everything is on continuum and has a complementary opposites within the whole. To use an old adage, there may be two sides of a coin, but there is only one coin. In other words, things that appear as opposites are in fact only two extremes of the same thing. And that is the what we have been talking about almost through the whole time today. You put it so well when we were talking about the other slides that we had. Here, when we're talking about the IA and the vibrations and paths, etc. Will you connect the
Yes.
dots? Because I think
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
floating out.
Basically, yeah. When he's talking kind of like about the two sides of the same coin, say opposites and stuff, is I was kind of thinking of it more of the kind of unlimited pathways that you have and the kind of choices of the crossroads, if you will, to where you can choose, to go, let's say, when we're talking about the integration of, AI parts within our body. So we go even more biomechanical or we go more natural. Those are two apparent opposites, but they all exist and therefore they're still on the same coin of existence,
Mhm.
if you will. So it's all still connected to each other, even though they seem very opposite. Also, like, uh, and I had it and then it lost. Yeah.
I do know how that feels.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
usually in that place.
Mhm.
There's so much going
Yeah.
on in here, and when I try to
Yes. Mhm.
express it, it floats out in every direction,
Mhm.
and you're out there
Exactly.
trying to connect the dots. Well,
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so well because at least my mind and most minds work so fast that you can have like 15 different ideas all pop in, and you're like, oh yeah, that's all connected here. That's all connected here. Then you go and try to speak it, and you're like, it's not coming through. But
you get these sequences
yeah.
from every pop. So
Yeah.
so when it comes out, it sounds like you were talking in a different
Yeah,
language,
yeah, yeah,
and
full gibberish.
about the nothing, and you have this whole picture of how it works. It almost like
Mhm.
a computer program. Maybe we
Mhm.
are walk-ins already from with the synthetic body, even though we don't know about it. Well,
Mhm.
that was fun. So Cody,
Mhm.
we are going to move into this beautiful
Mhm.
energies of your distance healing.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So, since we're kind of talking about journeys and kind of decisions we're making and all that type of stuff within the journeys, I was actually thinking the plum blossom jade would be a good energy for it,
Mm.
because it's technically what is best at is protection when you're going on an astral projection journey, when you're doing an out of body experience type of thing. But it can also work within just general protection on your life journey. It's just, it kind of specializes in the astral projection protection, but it still has a general, protection. Yeah, if I had like a large tiger's eye, I think that would be more specialized within just protection throughout your journey. But I don't have one of those.
That will work
So
out wonderful.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Water real quick, and then okay. All right. So for those that do not know, I'm going to be sending energy from the crystal to you. If you want this energy, just verbally or mentally accept it. If you don't, then it won't touch you. Mhm. Yes. Very quick one today.
That was very soothing for the mind. It was almost like yeah, like water liquid pouring into the brain, washing away a lot of, bouncing thoughts.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely had a real, strong flow coming from the hand. So it definitely had that kind of power to it, but it definitely was. It was not an intense power. It was just, just, But yeah, no good. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. So we are going to finish with some words. If you have something you want to end this session with,
I just
or episode.
yeah, yeah. I would, and the only thing I really like ending with is my maybe not catchphrase, but flow with love. Just flow with love.
Flow with love.
Mhm,
Yep. And yeah, what would I like to say? I would like to
mhm,
say it was so nice to have this chat. It was pretty fun. It was a test of how slides would work, and poor Cody had no clue of what was waiting for him. He thought he had two topics that he was going to talk about, and no.
yes.
You had a lot of topics to talk about, but they were all connected to each other, so that worked out pretty well. So I'm glad we did this. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and this is uploaded on Gathering of Light. It's live there, so we will upload it in the other groups too. And hope you enjoy the chat when we'll be back and talk about some other topic in a couple of weeks. So take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye. And I will